Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here's what we're working on today on the Red Rocket on the 86. I just installed a Autometer oil temperature gauge. I've had this gauge for some time. I've been meaning to put it in. I had a spot open on my pillar pod. I ran the wires for the power and ground. Here's the signal wire that goes to the gauge. I have a Performance World product, Performance Shield on it, because I know this will be going down close to the headers. I don't want to burn the wire off. So this is cheap insurance. Now, the issue we're running into, I went online and I have a Canton oil pan with the kickouts on the back. If you look to see, here's the oil temperature sending unit. And by the time you thread it into the top of the oil pan on the kickout where Canton has it, not very much of the sensor will be exposed to the oil. Like, it'll get splashed up, the oil will splash onto it, but I want to keep it fully immersed. So I'll show you where the problem exists. So I'll just go under the car here. So right there, you can see that on a bit of an angle. That's what, right here, you can see my finger tapping on it. That's where the oil temperature sending unit is supposed to thread into. But by the time you put a fitting in here that the fine threaded sending unit goes into, it's not even going to be anywhere close to being in the pan. The proper thing is to probably drill a hole and either use a punch to punch it in and thread it with a tap, just like a supercharger return line might be. Or the best way probably would be to drill a hole and weld a bung on there for the sending unit. I just want to avoid drilling into this pan right now. So what I'm doing, I'm reconfiguring my oil feed line that goes to the sending unit. So I'll show you what we're going to do there. So I test fit everything. You can see the difference in the size of the two lines. Test fit everything. This is how it's basically going to look. So instead of putting Teflon tape on here, because we got to make sure this still gets a good ground, I'm going to be using this Permatex Aviation Forma gasket. I've had good luck with this. Just going to make sure you give it a little bit of time to set up. Basically, this is how it's going to go right down here. So what we're going to do is I noticed I have to take my sending unit out to thread everything in, but that's a minor technicality. So I'm going to clean up all the ends, put on the sealant, and start assembling. Hopefully we don't have any interference against the flange for the oil filter. So far so good. The brass is softer than steel. You don't want to crack the steel either. It's pretty important. It's your oil feed line, so you gotta make sure I think we get one more turn out of it. So I want the temperature sending unit to be facing the top. I think that'll be perfect right there. One thing I forgot to mention, this T, this big brass T, it didn't come with this port right here. I drilled it using several small size drill bits, and then I got a National Pipe Thread tap to tap that threaded area, and that went really well. And then I could put this fitting in and then the sending unit. So now the sending unit, because of this fitting, the sending unit's not going to sit too deep into the fitting. I'd say that's good. And just to double check again, make sure it's not bottomed out. It shouldn't be. right there. You can see it's not bottomed out. That's good. Okay, we're getting close to the end. I'd say that's pretty good. All right, the gauge is saying around, I guess that's going to be somewhere around 100. All right, let's give this gauge a real world test. Here's something we're going to talk about another day. Here's something just to keep note. We can see our coolant temperatures at 180. But our oil is still cold. And there's our vehicle factory temperature gauge. So this just goes to prove it's always good to let the oil warm up before starting to race. Engine temperature is still between 167 and 180. Everything looks good up here, and oil temperature is finally coming up. There, nicely coming up. I think this is pretty much going to be a safe range if a guy wants to go through the gears. So the question is, what's the big deal about oil temperature? Somebody that I consider a really good racer and a very intelligent person, and this just is almost common sense really, said to me, imagine if you had a pickup truck and you went to go pick up a load of bricks, a pallet full of bricks in the winter time. It's minus 40 below, and they set the bricks on the back of the truck and it goes down, and it's so cold out that your rear leaf springs crack because the metal is cold, it's brittle. Now you do the same thing, you go for the same load of bricks when it's 40, 30 above, we'll say. It's really hot out. The metal is warm, it's more pliable, it's flexible, it's ready to do work. So you can put that same amount of weight, that same amount of load on the warm leaf springs on the back of the truck, and the springs won't break. Well, this is sort of the same idea for internal engine parts. So if we're looking at our coolant temperature sitting at 167 or 180 degrees, thinking that the vehicle's fully warmed up, well, the oil temperature could still be cold. So at the end of the day, you want the inside of the motor, you want all your metal parts, your bearings, your connecting rods, your crankshaft, up to operating temperature. Plus, another bonus with having a oil temperature gauge, if all of a sudden this temperature just spikes, then you know you have an internal engine problem. You can shut it down, take it apart, and possibly fix it and have minimal repairs. You know, you might spin a bearing or something, but maybe you could save most of the internals versus starting from scratch. So this oil gauge could be a real lifesaver. This could really tell you if your engine is causing trouble or not. So hope this helps you out. That's why I have a oil temperature in my car now, and I'm glad I did. Thanks for watching, guys.